Hi guys, it's Kelly from Cards by Christine here with you on a Technique Thursday meets Tip Tuesday to share with you the twisted ribbon technique. Yeah, twisted ribbon technique. Sorry, it's not using ribbon. So I kind of just second guessed myself there. But it's called the twisted ribbon technique because it emulates the look of ribbon. And I'm going to show off here. Dun, 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 dun. Wow, that was not the right button. That was our shade. Okay, this card was made by Mo Stites. She sent this over to Chris, and it is inspired by a technique from Dawn Height. And thank you, Mo, so much for sharing it and inspiring us. I'm going to show you how to create this cascading ribbon look on the side, which is so beautiful. I love it. It was kind of one of those aha moments, which we love so much, that really inspired me to share this with you all. So that's the beautiful little card. It's got the songbird on the side here. I love, love, love it. And actually, I'm going to be using some of the upcoming new DSP that you can earn free during Sale-A-Bration. That will start in on July 1st. Sale-A-Bration. Here's the booklet. I can't show you what's in it, but this is, you know, a little peek along the bottom. Here's that DSP pack. I think it's called Rings of Love. I'm going to pull it off the camera so I don't break any rules here. Rings of Love 12 by 12 designer series paper. It is gorgeous, and I love it oh so very much. Now, let me pull over to the comments so that I can see if anyone is live with us. So, I am going to show you how to make that, and I'm so excited because, like I said, it was kind of an aha moment for me, and I think you're going to love it too. So, why can I not find the live? Let's do this. Cards by Christine. Okay, so what you're going to want is you're going to need to have some scraps. Here's my tip. I'm kind of doing double duty here. We've got a tip on utilizing scraps. So, you know when you make a mat for a card, and you end up with these half-inch strips, it oftentimes feels like, you know, do you really want to keep these little straps? They're scrappy-scrappies and just as likely to end up in the garbage because it's so tiny. But then again, you've got beautiful DSP and you don't want to waste it. So I'm going to give you a tip on how to use these. They're just half-inch strips, and we're actually going to utilize them to make this ribbon look along the side. So, starting with a solid base color. So, for this, I'm choosing Night of Navy. And then I'm actually going to bring in a strip of, it's going to be a spacer strip. So, it's just going to be a strip of basic white. And let's see here. Gonna cut it down to a 1/2 inch. All of these are 1/2 inch because that is the drop off that you get when you cut mats, and that's why I think this is a brilliant tip. Okay, so just know that your basic white strip of 1/2 inch is your spacer. So my suggestion when doing this technique excuse me, is that you choose the more subtle pattern for the first layer because you see the least of it. So if it's a big bold pattern, you're probably not going to see some of the big important parts of it. So the more bold pattern I would put for the top. So the first one, like in my instance, is going to be this bluey pattern. Now, I'm going to grab my liquid glue. I'm also going to trim these down so that we're not being wasteful. Trim them about here-ish and here-ish, and then that's fine. Okay, so start by, you know, you can do whatever angle you want here, but I'm going to do an angle of this sort of variety, a soft angle. Grab a piece of one of your strips, again, using the more subtle pattern, and then glue it down, butt it right up to that spacer piece. Now, seeing as how this is the first one, I'm going to assess. Okay, so we've got that, and then move your spacer down and grab your next. Now with this pattern, there's a lot of variation in the texture because it's a watercolor paper. So I'm trying to be real intentional about what pieces I'm grabbing, because I don't want all of them to look just like a hodgepodge. Okay. And just keep moving your spacer down. Woo, okay. Gotta hold that little tighter. Now the spacer is there to ensure that not only is your spacing equidistant, but also that you know where to place your next strip. It's going to keep all of your angles the same. Okay, hold that down. I'm going to go with this one next, and that might be our last one. For those of you that are anxious subscribers, Chris is going to be coming live later tonight. She's got card making, but she also intends to show off the newly designed beautiful cards that are for the Summer Creative Escape. And trust me, you don't want to miss them. I just photographed them for marketing purposes, and they are amazing. So stay tuned, because you'll definitely want to catch that. Okay, so now grab your second pattern and go ahead and, again, just trim them down. Now these are scraps, so you may not need to trim them down. I just happen to have really long scraps, so I'm going to trim them so that we don't waste any, because we'll just end up trimming the ends off anyways. Now, what we need to do is allow the Night of Navy, or in this case Blackberry Bliss, to peek out the back. Okay, so I'm so confused why I'm getting some comments and not the other. So sorry to everyone that has, oh my goodness, commented. They're finally flooding through. Hello, thank you so much for joining me on Technique Thursday. I will stop engaging in one-way conversation because now I have my audience flooding in. Thank you so much to everyone who's sharing. This is a great technique and tip on how to use some scraps that you don't know what to do with. What is the measurements? Ooh, I will go over that in just a second, Rosemary. And I'm glad you guys are loving the spacer. I will tell you this. I almost cut it out of Night of Navy or just use one of my extra scraps, but I was afraid, I mean, it's pretty obvious, but I was afraid that I was going to absentmindedly accidentally glue it down. So another tip is, if you do use a spacer, to choose a color that's either white or a scrap paper, like a printer paper or something, something that doesn't necessarily match your color scheme, so you don't accidentally glue it down. So another good tip to keep in mind. Okay, next we are going to throw down one of these, and now I think we're going to kind of eyeball it a little bit and then bring the spacer back into play. So, the angle for this blue pattern is determined by how you lay the strip down and glue, and then the angle stays consistent because of this spacer. Now, for this one, you don't want to arbitrarily choose an angle, so what you're trying to do is where the scrap meets the solid base, you want that to be where your new paper intersects. So I'm going to grab a pencil here and try to kind of make that a little clearer. So basically, you want your next strip, and I suggest doing this on a, I'm sorry, I just lost my train of thought. I suggest doing this on one where you're going to get the whole full piece. So for instance, I wouldn't start at the tippy top because it's going to be harder to gauge exactly where that needs to hit. I'd start on one like this and then use the spacer to build up and down accordingly. So I want to hit this pencil mark and I want to hit this pencil mark. Then I would grab your strip and again, squiggle a little glue down there. I do suggest when doing this, everyone has their adhesive of choice. I do personally suggest using liquid glue because you get that little bit of, maybe 10 seconds of wiggle, which it's easy to place these not in the best spot or for them to shift a little bit. So having that little bit of wiggle really helps get it where you want it to go. So now, taking those pencil marks into consideration, I'm going to lay this piece down and wiggle, wiggle to get it where you want. And recognize here now, if these are all cut consistently, so they're all 1/2 inch, and if you're using your spacer, you're going to get a perfect hit here and here, here and here, and that's what really creates that technique, the look of a cascading ribbon. Okay, so we've got that one set perfectly. Now we're going to bring our spacer in and work up and then down. Now, I saw someone ask about what size this is. I intentionally made my Night of Navy piece a little bigger than I want because I don't want to, I'm probably going to cut the whole layer, like not just the tabs. I'm going to cut the whole layer of Night of Navy with the strips. So I will give you that measurement as soon as we've done that step. Now, this one's a little more complicated because I can see that the pattern could come into play, but I think I'm going to try to fight the urge to match pieces up and just glue down whatever piece comes to mind because I think that might be a nightmare. And it is supposed to just look kind of random, so it shouldn't be that big of a deal. Okay, so again, now that we're using that spacer and really we're intentional about the placement of our first strip, they are lining up perfectly. Okay, so pick that up. Oh, what part should be next? Okay, and then we should have one more at the bottom. Now, that one I can see is off just a little bit. So I, with this liquid glue, it's going to help us wiggle them up a little bit. So every minor inconsistency is going to create a little bit of room for error. So, some of these strips may be just a hair over 1/2 inch, just a hair under 1/2 inch. This one especially is a little off. In the grand scheme of things, it's not that noticeable, but just as a point of attention to detail, I'm going to lift this one up just a little bit and place it more in the correct location. So not a big deal. Most people won't even recognize or notice that, but I do try to have a strong attention to detail. So I was a little too busy gabbing. Hello from South Africa. Is it 1.5 inches? I made my Night of Navy strip as 1.5, if not just a hair bigger than that. Let me flip it over and see. So this is the point at which when I move my spacer, now my glue isn't completely dry, so that's when I get the wiggle opportunity. So I made a strip that was 5.5 by, oh, where did I put my ruler? Here we go. 1.5. 1 3/4. So that enables me to either go ahead and have a full strip running down top to bottom, or I can trim it down if I want. So like on this card designed by Mo, she trimmed it down and matted it, which is beautiful, but I could see a full strip being beautiful as well. So now that this piece is all together, you can either go ahead and flip it over, because now your scissors has a flat surface to make a straight cut on, and trim it this way. So I'll do one side this way. Now, recognize that this is gluey from the remnants. And we'll go ahead and trim this one off in the same manner. And this one. Or the other way that you can do it, here, gotta get my scissors in. Okay, so that's one way. Or the other way that you can do it is to bring it over to your cutting device and butt it up. Now, in this instance, what I'm going to do is carry the blue over, the navy over just a little bit to trim. And I might change my mind, because then that's going to change where my points hit. I didn't think that through, you guys. Thanks. So know that, let's do it. I don't think it's going to make that big of a difference, and I think this is a little easier. So I'm just going to have it off the center line by just a hair, so that it's going to be an absolutely straight cut. And honestly, it's less than 1/8, so it really doesn't mess the ribbon technique up that much. Okay, so here is your beautiful banner for the ribbon strip technique. You can go ahead and design a card around it and really show off that beautiful piece that you worked so hard to design. Ironically, once you kind of do it once or have it under your belt a couple times, it's not that difficult, and it really is a wow piece. And certain things to keep in mind, like the spacer, like using scraps, like using liquid glue, is really going to make a technique like this much more manageable, so that it doesn't have to be a daunting task to make such a beautiful accent to your cards. So obviously this is going to clash with the card, but you could easily see, like if I were going to case this card, I'd probably make the bird in Poppy Parade really jump off there, and put a sentiment down, throw some embellishments, and you've got a beautiful card in the makings. So I prefaced just a little bit that this paper is in Sale-A-Bration, coming very, very soon. That starts July. I was just about to say January. No, I'm not ready for winter again. It starts July 1st. Sale-A-Bration, for those of you that are newer or don't know what that means, is a free product with each $50 purchase. So if you make a $200 purchase, you can get up to 4 free products. Sale-A-Bration is amazing. I will tell you, as a demonstrator, I have been given the opportunity to see ahead the new products that are coming out in the holiday mini catalog, as well as the Sale-A-Bration items as well. And trust me, you will not be disappointed. They're amazing. So, so good. You'll be catching more about some of the upcoming stuff from that catalog, focusing on fall and Christmas and the holidays. It's amazing. Chris is going to be showcasing some of the samplers and product shares and stuff like that very, very shortly. She's going to be showing off the Summer Creative Escape cards, which are all using that new product, and you will start to see peeks about what's to come that launches in July. So stay tuned. So exciting, so much fun. I hope you guys have a wonderful Technique Thursday, and you can catch Chris later tonight for some live card making.